So what I would like to do is, I know that some of you are sitting as your group and you have someone who will be reporting for us. And so you don't have to stand on the chair, but I would like for someone to come up and share the report. And those of you who are actually leaving, if you need to leave, I've got a card for you to take away as a memory of this. So please don't go before you get your card.
Pick your card.
Stephanie has the basket here, and Stephanie will stand by the door, because I know that some of you do need to leave.
Okay. There.
So Stephanie will be right by the door. These cards are very beautiful. They're called Grace cards. My wife Lee has a set of these, and we thought it would be beautiful to share with you. So, is there a group that'd like to go first? Eric. Now we can probably hear you, so I'm going to turn the mic off.
So I started Group 3, and we compiled a list of suggestions that we had. Starting with, this is going to be a voluntary process at the beginning.
Can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
All right, I'm going to get the mic. Do I have to stand on the chair too?
You're tall enough.
All right, can everybody hear me now? All right, and so we started this by looking at, this is going to be a long process to make it mandatory across all the states, and so we kind of approached it from a voluntary, how do we get schools to implement this approach. And one of the things that we came up with was that the Alliance should consider an Alliance-endorsed teacher and use that as a marketing tool for the schools to attract more students. If you have, even if it's not only the Alliance membership, even if it's the other stakeholder groups, AMTA, ABMP for their school members, if they would adopt our standards in order to be school members, then that would help spread the word a little bit about what we're trying to do. And it would be a benefit to the schools because they could use it as a marketing tool, and it's a twofold benefit. So that was one of the things we came up with. We also said that we need to figure out ways to get the standards to school administrators because they want to improve their programs for the most part, and teachers want to be better for the most part. And so how do we go about getting this document to the people who need it? And there were some suggestions about emailing the document. There were suggestions about putting the teacher standards PowerPoint out to people. There was suggestions that we go with the other stakeholder groups and make sure that their membership gets this document and flood the market with it. It doesn't have to go just to teachers. It can go to other people and work its way around that way. We said that we should develop, the Alliance should develop and teach the trainer kind of program so that we are kind of in control of it from the onset, and we teach people how to train other people in our competencies. We also suggested that the accreditors maybe build this into their accrediting process. If you want to be an accredited school, maybe there should be a component of, are your teachers qualified to be in the classroom? Let's see. We also looked at this from an expense standpoint, and a lot of school owners can't afford to do this, and so we wanted to create a list of open source material that's already out there, MOOCs and other things, and kind of compare those to our standards and see what's already out there and free and accessible to everybody. And so I believe that that's going to be something that some of the committees are going to be looking at. We found one, for example, there was a MOOC at the University of Michigan that's titled Instructional Methods in Health Professions Education. So there's definitely materials out there that are available for free, and we can get those into the hands of the administrators who can then pass it off to their staff. That would be a good approach to things. We suggested that we email the link to the standards from the Alliance. We suggested that we remind schools that there's a lack of training and that this would address that need that the schools have. And that we should note that the Alliance is giving this these competencies away for free. We're not charging people for this information. And professional responsibility would say, do better. And here's what better looks like. And so that was one of the other suggestions that we came across. This document will help with retention of staff because they're going to feel like they can do their job. And so that's another selling point to schools if they do have to invest a little bit in this. You know, the cost of doing this may negate the cost of having to hire 20 new staff members every year because there's a quick rotation. We said that teachers want this, and so we need to figure out how to get a list of teachers and get this information to them and put the onus on the teacher. You need to be educated if you want to teach. You need to learn how to teach. And you know, there's teacher degree programs out there. This is how public school systems work. This is how higher education systems work. The onus doesn't necessarily need to fall to the schools to do this if we can put some pressure on the teachers to take this on their own. Especially, again, if we can have some of those free and open source types of documents. Let's see. We also came up with the idea that the Alliance develop MOOCs. And we kind of took a quick poll of our group of 20 people, and I asked how many people here would be willing to donate 5 hours of their time in a year to help create a MOOC. And so I'm asking this group, how many of you would be willing to do that? 5 hours in a year. And so this kind of thing starts that process. We also need to create an in-service outline for schools to follow and guide the schools in how to use this document and how to train their own staff. And so just create a quick outline of what they could do in service, because the majority of us are already doing things in service. And so if we can create that outline and guide schools through that process, that would go a long way as well. And we should certainly get together with the other organizations and make sure that they have links on their websites to this document. I mean, that's something that can be done relatively quickly and freely. If you're a member of any of those organizations, AMTA especially with state chapters everywhere, are you willing to bring this back to your next chapter meeting and start getting the word out that way? One of the big things that we looked at was the readability of the document, which isn't necessarily the easiest thing to read. And so we suggested that we break that document down into bite-sized chunks that can be absorbed by people, but not only just give them the document, give them examples of what that looks like in the classroom. And so, you know, for each competency, give them a video or give them an example of what does that actually look like, because a lot of the teachers don't know what it looks like, and when they're reading that document, they don't know what those words are. And so we need to have kind of like TED Talks on classroom management or TED Talks on lesson planning, things of that nature. Pictures and videos are key. We're very quickly moving away from text documents, and so if we can figure out how to use more pictures and videos, that's going to draw more people in. And you know, if you see a 29-page document versus a 2-minute video that explains the 29-page document, which one of those two links is going to get more clicks on it? We already have a PowerPoint that exists that chunks up the document. We need to get that out to the school owners as well, because that'll make it a simpler process. We also suggested that we set up an interview with Deborah from the Federation and have the Federation explain why they support this document, and then have that go viral on the internet. I'm pointing at Ryan because that's their bigger. He could probably do this. Creating an ebook or something of that nature would maybe help with getting this out as well. And the biggest, I think, factor in any of this is that the quality of these products matters. We don't just put junk out. We need to really spend some time developing quality material explains what we expect from teachers, and then maybe look at some of the gurus that are out there who have been in this field for a long time, who have been teaching in this field for a long time, and have them be the initial ones that start training the trainers. I think that was it.
Erica, I want to thank you, and I feel like one of the things that you've done is outlined a lot, so if as the next groups come up, if there's a ditto there, you can leave that one out. And I want to acknowledge all that's just come out of that 1 hour. Like, I feel like that's like years worth of work, yes? Gabriella? Okay, I want you to.
So one thing that I wanted to add was that what we realized is that if we create online and video training products and make them available for free to our members. So that's the point that wasn't made. If they be made available to our members, that would be a way of increasing membership, of providing real value to our members, and thus then increasing revenue so that we could then create even more such training programs.
Thanks for adding that in. There's another group, Sandy Fritz. I'm going to give you the mic even though you don't need it.
Yeah.
I know.
Mostly I can say ditto, and I hope that that's been captured in email over somehow.
Erica's emailing it now.
The areas that we could expand on in our group was using the document as a self-assessment process or a hiring document. And that could then point to where the training would need to be for an individual or where a school would try to focus. And then Mark talked about actually providing and developing a rubric for a self-assessment process. And we also talked about that this would be a voluntary process and that it needs to be accessible and affordable, and that this is where we need to start, and that we're really well on our way, and that this should also be available not just through the schools, but as an access for the CE providers. And one of the things in the CE provider process for NCB is to look at, can this person teach? And so this could also become a platform or an assessment method or a checklist that could be used to verify continuing education teacher qualities. So, anybody in my group think I have missed anything on this? I did identify an extraordinarily intelligent woman that's sitting right there in the blue. That's part of education that fed back wonderfully. So, capture her.
Paula Stone. Got her? On your radar?
Yes.
I think we have one other group. Oh, Gloria.
Well, ditto. So actually, to be in compliance with what you respectfully asked of us, I think what we can add, thank you, is what Marla had, where is Marla? There she is. What she had suggested is, in looking at this core competency document, that it is definitely an academic document, and that on July 22nd, American Education Thursday, that we are going to work together to do an abstract, which we will submit so that we can spread the document through a different track, arena, which will further our mission, our vision to
raise the bar and increase, the bar of excellence in education. So that, I thought, was very valuable, because we ditto everything else that we were saying, that we need to get it out there, it needs to be web-based, it needs to be in cyberspace, but that piece was really very valuable. So I thank you, and it was wonderful to receive the feedback from group number 1, group number 2, group number 3. So that gives us more information, which we're going to parlay into this teacher training curriculum development.
Kate Henry has something to say, and then Stephanie Beck, will you receive those emails? Or Gloria, I guess you should receive those emails, since you're the committee chair. Board liaison. Kate.
I wanted to give you real-time feedback about the suggestion that accrediting agencies adopt this. So first, I just want to acknowledge that it's already been a topic of conversation for content. And one of the things we don't want to do is put the standard at a place that's unreasonable for our schools. Our standards are already very intricate as far as what kind of documentation schools need to show us. So we decided that instead of embedding something in the standards that directly requires them to demonstrate all of the teacher education standards, that we are making a reference in the standards to best practices in the field are considered in some way or something. And then we are going to reference this document in our suggestions and guidance for schools on how to do performance evaluations for faculty and how to choose professional development.
Wow. Hey Sally, how far have we come on that? All right. So I think you have some evaluations in front of you. I believe we will also mail these by email, but we wanted to get some real-time feedback. So take a moment to do that if you have it, and you can leave them on the tables and we will pick them up. So I'm going to ask a broad question. How was this conference for you? I'm going to ask a little bit more narrow question. How was the food for you? How about the facility?
Nice.
So I did tell you that we were not going to do something in 2014, is that correct? So 2015, we will be hoping to collaborate with some other organizations, like I've said. We are also thinking maybe New Orleans. We were just I got a good response on that. Now, and there was also the San Diego possibility as well. And I just wanted to see your response, but that's the kind of location, because it's easy fly in and fly out. I would love to go to Santa Fe, New Mexico and teach a class and do that, but it's very much difficult to get in for everyone with 6 flights and all of that. So help us, if you have a great idea, or you live in a city that's easy in and out, and you'd like to be a contact for some of that, our conference planning committee will be beginning to work on that. And so what I wanted to do was to have Nancy Dale come up. Mark Beck, come up. These two, liaison to the board and the chair. I wanted to get a picture, if we could. Ryan's over there. But I wanted to share with both of you how much I appreciate the work that you've done, the committee. I actually couldn't do this without you. And so I want to thank you so much. conference was easy for me to participate in because they made such a great schedule and they had such a great group of presenters. All I had to do was show up and get you into the rooms.
And a good job.
And so the other person I want to acknowledge is Cherie Sonnenwell. Do you know how like William Shatner is the negotiator? So Cherie is the negotiator for hotel and beverage and food and so all of those things. So again, where we are and how you got here is because of these three. And then of course there was a committee who met on a regular basis, bi-weekly, every 3 weeks, on Sunday afternoons. And so I just want to acknowledge that. So if you're on the committee, please just stand yourself up and be acknowledged as well. Deborah, she left, yeah. So anyone who was a volunteer, I thank you so much. What I'm thinking, because there's a lot of tables in this room, what if we went out into kind of the hallway so we could actually see each other? Or could we do it in this room, Carol? What do you think? I want to do it so we can see each other. Yeah, well, you're a teacher, you know. You know, I want to make a circle. That's what I want to do. My intention is to make a circle so we can see each other.
Well, no, I say we go out there where we've got no options between us. Unless there's weddings.
No, this space right up here we can use, right, even closer down.
The way that's smart, I don't know.
No, it hasn't. And this area we can use. We're okay here. But I just wanted some feedback from you all and Carol, right? No instructions. So let's go out to the hallway and make yourself into a